Good morning, all. On this Saturday, we will celebrate America's independence. Make no mistake, America is the greatest country in the world, and we will never apologize for it. We will always celebrate, we will champion the values and freedoms that we have fought for the last 244 years. You see, America is more than a country. America is an idea that is so powerful, it would get shipyard workers in Poland to rise up. It'd make a wall that divided two Germanys to crumble and become one. It'd make 30 years ago, more than 1 million students come to Tiananmen Square to build the goddess of democracy and the symbol of the Statue of Liberty. It'd give the strength to one man to stand in front of a tank, knowing the outcome of his own life, but with the belief and the craving of freedom, that he'd rather live with freedom or die without. Today, those in Hong Kong came out to do the same. It is a great responsibility for America to maintain. There's been no other country like ours, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that we are all equal. So this 4th of July, every American should pause for a moment to thank God that they were born here, but also double the commitment, regardless of party, that you will bind yourself to pass that freedom and guarantee it to the next generation. I have a portrait of Frederick Douglass in my office, a man who was born into slavery, fought for his freedom, to become an advisor to the very first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln. Frederick Douglass said this to describe America: every man has his chance. If he cannot be president, he can at least be prosperous. In this respect, America is not only the exception to the general rule, but to the social wonder of the world. Unfortunately, though, some on the left, encouraged by the silence of Democratic leaders, including the Speaker of this House, are trying to erase our story. They want to erase our history. Whether it is a monument of Abraham Lincoln freeing a slave or of 4 of our greatest presidents, Democrats no longer view the richness of our country's history worthy. Not only do they want to erase our past, they want to radically change the way we live today. The mobs that Democrats encourage destroy property. They threaten and sometimes even attack innocent citizens. I'll be introducing legislation to withhold funding from states and cities whose leaders fail to uphold the law. The mobs that Democrats encourage suppress speech and punish those who speak out. Democrats encourage it because they think it is a distraction, that their agenda can skate by unnoticed. They see it as a supplement to the radical movement in the streets. But as we saw yesterday, Republicans are fighting back. Congressman Peter DeFazio tried to pass an infrastructure bill that would allow China to control things as critical as our electrical grid. We called them out and we won the vote. We won the vote even though they had every advantage, not just to having a majority, but even those who want to stay home and still get a paycheck who give their vote to Nancy Pelosi. Today's jobs report is more confirmation that this administration will get us on a path to the great American comeback. 4.8 million jobs created just last month, smashing every economist's expectations. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle may have stopped believing in the American dream, stopped believing that this is the greatest country this world has ever seen. They may want to erase everything that has made America exceptional. But I haven't stopped believing in America, and I am willing to bet that every day, hardworking Americans believe the same. Whether they are the first generation or the 10th across this country, still believe this great nation as well. This July 4th, I'm going to celebrate this incredible nation, and I know that while some of my colleagues will not, America across this country will. I'm so thankful that God made me an American. I feel privileged to have that honor, and I believe we all must uphold the basis of why this country was created, and strive for what all of us have said, to create a more perfect union. Thank you, and let's open it up for questions. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you about the jobs numbers. So there was a significant decline in unemployment this month, but we know that already places are starting to shut back down a little bit. Beaches are closing for 4th of July weekend. Is there concern heading into July, and what is Congress going to do about another coronavirus package?
So we just had 4.8 million jobs. We're watching before, when people thought we'd lose 8 million, that we created some the month before. We're watching this V come back. What I see is we're rebuilding, renewing, and restoring this great nation. We will look at another package. Unfortunately, if you look at what the Democrats produced, it mentioned cannabis more than it mentioned jobs. So we know that is not the path. So thankful that went no further. I've been meeting with Leader McConnell. We're looking to have a package by the end of the month that would deal with liability protection, so small businesses. We've got to get daycares and schools open again. They've got to be protected. We want to make sure if people are still hurting as they are, that we're able to get, as the president wants to, checks back out to them. We want to make sure, looking at PPP, the small business, the millions of jobs that we saved, even though the Speaker Pelosi held that first bill up and held it up again when it ran out of money. So those are the things we'll look to. Those are the things that we'll want to have. To continue to build on the successes that, yes, we've gone from a few million to another 4 million to even greater. That what we promised, even though we've had to battle a virus we did not invite, nor did we create, that a country from a faraway land lied to all of us about, that the freedom of America is more resilient and will come back stronger than we were before. Yes?
Mr. Leader, do you think that President Trump is currently losing to Joe Biden?
Well, the election's not today. Poll numbers look like it's challenging in some places, but I fundamentally believe Joe Biden hasn't laid out a case for why he should be elected. When I look today,
Were you satisfied with what the president
look,
said?
what I know what the president's going to do for the second term is exactly what he's doing right now, rebuilding, restoring, and renewing a country's greatness. We're just watching today the exact answer, 4.3 million jobs. If you ask Joe Biden how to create those, he said you'd need a magic wand. This president has proved that he can build an economy greater than we've ever had before, and that's what he's doing right now. This president has warned us, not even as president, not even as candidate Trump, but as citizen Trump, the fears of what China would do to America. And he stood up to them, whereas Joe Biden did not stand up to China. He gave China almost everything, and we're watching what has happened because of that. We're watching this president do exactly what individuals want. This campaign is going to probably begin very shortly after the 4th of July, and I think the ideas and the power of the ideas would come forward. This president will be reelected.
Would you feel safe attending the Republican convention, and would you urge your members to attend?
Yes.
Leader McCarthy, I wanted to ask you about the missing Fort Hood soldier. Representative Gabbard is calling for a congressional investigation. Is that something you would support?
Yes. Any soldier missing, I'd want to know exactly where they are and why they're missing.
I was wondering, now that John Ratcliffe is going to the administration, what your timeline is for appointing someone to replace him on the Intel Committee, and if there were any names you had in mind from your conference.
We're always into how I'm going to appoint. This isn't a steering committee selection, but I'm looking at it now. I don't take the appointments to Intel as something that you just select somebody. I will interview a number of candidates, see who's best to fill. There are also positions of committees that have to also fill within there, and I'll look to that to make sure, but we'll do it shortly.
Going back to the next coronavirus relief package, I'm just curious where your caucus stands when it comes to additional state and local aid.
I mean, we look about state and local aid. I personally would not like to see this money go to governors. I'd like to see it go to cities and counties. What I'm watching in my own state, that the governor is using it almost as ransom, not delivering as Congress has asked him to do down to the counties who need it so greatly. But also I'm watching the governors take the percentage off the top, try to handle their own mismanagement. But no, I would like to see money go to them for the time period that COVID was a challenge, for those things that COVID had caused. And you've watched I think the Treasury has put out to make sure the first responders can already get that money. So we've already appropriated, and there's still money sitting there, about more than $150 billion.
So does that mean getting rid of the population cap? Does it mean direct
Well, in the last bill we did, you had to have 500,000 or greater to apply. I'd like to wipe that away. I think the money would go directly to where it's needed if we allowed cities and counties to apply directly and show the accountability of what the need is. I hope you all have a wonderful 4th of July. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, sir.
Good to have you back.